This is Alana and Veronica, and we are doing a podcast on All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Anthony Doerr uses the book All the Light We Cannot See to show the reader how characters in the middle of World War II still relate to people in our society today. Doerr provides a character that every reader can relate to. Marie Laure is blind and represents how sometimes people have to use other senses to see and realize what is going on around them. Etienne, her great-uncle, represents a man who is crazy and afraid to go outside, but overcomes his fear to save Marie Laure, someone who he loves. Daniel, Marie Laure's father, and Madame Manic, the woman who helps Etienne and rebels in the war, represent people who are lost and never found, showing the impact of the war on families and how it kills people who you love. Werner represents a boy who doesn't know what he wants in life and has to decide between saving his life by fighting in the war or helping people. Judah, his sister, and Frederick, his friend, represent people who still have hope and are innocent.
Doerr uses characters like these and many others to relay struggles people still deal with today, even after the war is over. The reader can relate to these characters with their lives today, whether they feel like they can't see what is going on around them, like Marie Laure, they are afraid of things but must overcome them, like Etienne, they have lost someone close to them, like Daniel or Madame Manic, they don't know what to fight for, like Werner, or they keep the same values no matter what life throws at them, like Judah and Frederick. Although these characters are living through World War II, they have similar problems to people today. This relatability helps the reader see what World War II was like and shows that even after the war, our society is not that different.
Even though there was a war going on, the characters still represent how people feel and act today. Doerr writes his book like this to show the reader that although there isn't a world war currently happening, people haven't changed. People still have problems and still struggle to find who they are and identify their values. Werner has to decide between fighting in the war and using his technology skills to hurt people, or saving Marie Laure. Even today, people must make hard decisions like these that reflect their values.
In the book, Werner makes the choice to betray the war movement and save Marie Laure and her family instead of turning them in. Many people make this choice today. Instead of listening to our president who tells us to build a wall and be afraid of immigrants and people who aren't white, many of us decide to welcome people who are different than us and choose not to be racist. Werner defies Hitler by saving Marie Laure, an example of how we should be acting today. We shouldn't be listening to a president who is telling us to be xenophobic. We should be welcoming people who are struggling and need a country of freedom to live in. Caitlin Trent, the operations coordinator at the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition Center, works with this organization against Trump to get immigrants equal rights.
We're a coalition of various organizations that are statewide. So we have 5 different regions that we work out of. And we do mostly advocacy policy work. So we're not too much service-oriented. We do citizenship workshops, but it's mostly advocating for immigrant rights and trying to pass pro-immigrant policies and fighting anti-immigrant policy. It started in 2002 as just like a grassroots movement that wanted to fight some anti-immigrant policies. And it was super grassroots, just some people within the community, and then it became a formal 501c3 nonprofit.
This organization fights against unfair policies that Trump passes, similar to how Werner defies Hitler to save Marie Laure.
We're not so much service-oriented, so we don't do we do have a hotline, and anyone that calls our hotline, and those are for people that are detained or a raid happening in progress. So anyone that calls the hotline, we document their cases and assign a volunteer to try and help them through their deportation proceedings. But other than that, it's more policy advocacy work. So like if someone is needs funds for fighting their deportation case, for example, we can't help the individual, if that makes sense. We did help in Denver pass an immigration legal defense fund. So we're helping pass policy. So that's an example of we help pass policies to set up a fund that immigrants can use to help in their immigration cases, but we're not providing funding for individual cases. And we're also not attorneys, so we get a lot of calls for people needing help with their immigration cases, and we refer those out to immigration attorneys.
Caitlin and many others make the choice to protest and fight back against anti-immigration policies.
So initially we were doing a lot of federal level defense, so for DREAM Act, for example, when he repealed DACA. But I think we've pivoted more to state policy because we recognize that at the federal level we can't do much, and it's such an anti-immigrant administration that we're not going to we're not going to be able to do much until out of office. So we're focusing more on local policy because at the state level we have more control and push back more locally.
It may seem difficult for young people to have an impact on what is going on in the world without having a vote, but there are still things anyone can do to help immigrants, no matter what their age is.
We love fundraisers. We do like get out the vote, voter pledge cards. So people getting engaged in civic engagement, which you can do, as a high school student, and some high schoolers who are 18 can actually vote, but like getting people to get out the vote for pro-immigrant policy and pro-immigrant legislators, people, candidates that are running for office at the local level. We often have phone banks, we have actions, so like where to follow us on Facebook. When we're trying to pass pro-immigrant policy, we'll have, protests and rallies and things that, any would be able to show up for. Phone banking, so it's like calling your legislator saying like, you need to pass this policy or this policy is bad. And, we also have citizenship workshops that we can always use help with. So that's where we help people apply for citizenship, and high schoolers could also volunteer there as well.
It is important that people follow in the footsteps of Werner and Caitlin and use whatever power they have to help people in their community. Anthony Doerr creates relatable characters who do great things, like Werner, to show the reader they can help people and make an impact in their community too. People can help fight anti-immigration laws and Trump's racist views, just like how Werner fights Hitler's laws and saves Marie Laure. All the Light We Cannot See shows how important it is to fight for what you believe in, even if that means going against someone in a higher position. According to the American Immigration Council, nearly 1 in 10 Colorado residents is an immigrant. We must do everything we can to follow in Werner's footsteps to help our own neighbors receive equal rights.